Okay, first of all, thank you all for joining a new live webinar hosted by the Huawei Enterprise Support Community. Thank you for being on time. Thank you for your interest in our webinars. As some of you may already know, we have monthly webinars. If you're interested in learning from this type of live sessions, you can subscribe to receiving email notifications on the Huawei Enterprise Support Community. Today we will have a webinar on network management and monitoring. Our host for today is Mohamad Firdaus Bin Hassan. He works as an engineer in Huawei. He is also certified. He owns the HCIE routing and switching, which again, some of you may know, some of you may not know, is the highest level of certification that Huawei has. It's very difficult to achieve, so this is a great achievement. And before we start the actual presentation, I would just like to thank you for joining this live webinar. This is his second webinar, his second time hosting for the Enterprise Support Community. So thank you for this. And now I will let you start your presentation. You can share your screen, and I will let you take over.
Okay, sure. All right. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you.
All right. So hello everyone. Good day. So today I will be continuing with the forum community for our webinar, and the topic for today is network management and monitoring. A little bit of background for myself. My name is Mohamad Firdaus Bin Hassan. I'm from Malaysia and currently working as a tech support engineer in Huawei Enterprise Tech. So what will be included in our webinar today? The first part, we will understand the network monitoring and management introduction, which includes the common protocols being used, some configuration, and also some troubleshooting cases that I will be sharing later. And for the lab part, there will be two parts. The first part, I will show how Huawei devices interconnect with a third-party NMS, and also some introduction on eSight. So I will show how does eSight interface looks like, and I will introduce some features and also functions from our eSight. And after that, we have the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So as to start our session today, some introduction regarding network monitoring. So basically, network monitoring is a process where all networking components, for example, like routers, switches, firewall servers, which are being monitored for fault and their performance. So it is evaluated continuously to maintain and also to optimize their availability in the network. While for network management, it's a process of managing a network for fault and performance, using various kind of tools and also technologies to meet up with the network requirement. So here are some of the protocols used in network monitoring and management. So basically we have a lot of protocols, but I just listed a few of it. The first one is SNMP, a simple network management protocol, which is widely being used to monitor network devices. And the next one is LLDP, which is a link layer discovery protocol. So this protocol we use to discover the neighbor connected to our device. We also have NQA, network quality analysis. So NQA is a mechanism we use to detect, for example, if we have any delay, jitter, or packet loss in our network. The fourth one is Netstream. So basically, Netstream is a Huawei application which we use to analyze the traffic based on the statistic collected. So basically, Netstream is based on the packet flow in the network. Also, we have S-Flow, which is also similarly with Netstream, which is a technology that used to collect the traffic information. However, S-Flow is based on per packet compared to Netstream, which is on a flow packet base. The last one is NetConf. NetConf also is one of the communication mechanism used, protocol in the network monitoring and also management. So basically NetConf we use to monitor the device, to add the configuration from the NMS, to back up the configuration, to edit the configuration. Also we can use NetConf. So today we will focus more on SNMP and a bit of on Netstream and also NetConf. So the first part is for SNMP, which is a standard network management protocol widely being used in our network today. So the SNMP manages the network elements using a central computer, which is known as the station, on which we install the software for the network monitoring. So based on this simple network topology, we have this station here, based on this NMS site, where we install the network monitoring software. And after that, we have the NMS agent, the one that we are want to monitor. For example, if we have any routers, switches in the network, then we can monitor those devices. And at the end of the network, we have the end user, which connected to our network, which we can also monitor from our network monitoring software. So the purpose on why we use SNMP is because the rapid growth in the number of network devices increases the workload for the network administrator. So for example, if you have a lot of network devices that needs to be managed, so SNMP will help to reduce and also reduce the workload and also help to improve the efficiency. And in addition to that, for example, if you have the network coverage areas that are being constantly being expanded, so making the real-time monitoring and fault location of the network devices difficulty. So this where SNMP help to reduce the problem. And apart from that, network have many types of devices, and the management of interfaces of devices of different vendors conform to the different standards. So when we use the SNMP protocol, which is a standard protocol, this will help to manage other vendors' devices easily as well. And while for the benefit, as I mentioned just now, it helps to improve the work efficiency, it helps to reduce the management costs, and also it helps to reduce the impact of the feature configuration on the device operation. So for SNMP, we have SNMP version 1, version 2, and also version 3. So for SNMP V1 and V2C, basically the packet contains the version, which is V1 or V2, and also the community, which we have the read and also write community, and as well the SNMP PDU, protocol data unit, which consists of get request, get next request, set request, response, and also trap. So below here is the working mechanism of SNMP V1 and V2C. So the first part is when the NMS sends the GET request packet to the SNMP agent. And basically in the packet, the fields contain the version, community name, PDU type, and also the MIP object. And also the NMS will send a set packet to the agent, which contains more or less the same with the GET packet, but the only difference is that it has the expected MIP object value. So when the NMS sends the GET request and also the set request, the agent will reply with the response packet. And at the last part here, the agent will also respond to the trap packet as well. So for SNMP version 3, the packet contains the version, the header, and also the security parameters, context, agent engine ID, context name, and also SNMP version 3 PDU. So basically the differences between SNMP V3 and V1 and V2C is that V3 is much more secure because it has the security parameters which support the authentication and also encryption. So the NMS will send a GET packet to the agent, which contains version, header, security parameters, and also PDU. So based on this figure below here, the agent authenticates the GET request packet from the NMS. So if the authentication is successful, the agent will decrypt the PDU, which is the GET next, GET request, and also so on. If the decryption is successful, the agent obtains the value of the sys contact and encapsulate it in the PDU of the response packet. So the main differences is that SNMP v3 have these security parameters. So in this table here, I have summarized what are the features that supported in SNMP v1, v2c, and also v3. So the first one is the access control. So for SNMP v1 and v2c, we use the access control based on the community name, which is the read and also write. And also we use the MIP view, management information base, which have the information of the database of the device, which covers the entities of the device. While for SNMP v3, it uses the access control based on user, user group, and also MIP view. So first of all, when you configure the SNMP v3, you need to configure the user group, and you need to specify the MIP view. Moving on to the next one is the authentication and privacy. So for SNMP v1 and v2c, it uses the authentication based on the community name, which is the read and write. While for SNMP v3, it supports the authentication mode and also the encryption mode. So for the authentication mode, we have the MD5 and also we have the SHA. And the encryption mode, we have DES and also we have AES. So it has quite a number of encryption modes supported for the SNMP v3. For the error code, SNMP v1 supports 6 error codes, while v2c and v3 support 16 error codes. So for trap feature, all of the SNMP versions support trap, while for inform, it only support for SNMP version 2 and also SNMP version 3. So basically, inform feature is when the device send the, for example, if there is alarm on the device, it will send to the NMS, and the NMS will reply with the inform response packet. While for trap, it will just send the trap from the device to the NMS, but the NMS will not reply any packet. So we won't know whether the NMS received that packet or not. But compared to inform, the NMS will reply with an inform response packet. And the last one is get bulk. For SNMP v1, it does not support, while for SNMP v2c and v3, it does support. So get bulk means that we want to get a large number of data from the devices. So we can use v2c and also v3 support this get bulk feature. Moving on to the next part is the NETCONF. So NETCONF basically is a communication mechanism also used between a network management system and also the managed devices. So we can use NETCONF to add, modify, and also delete configuration of network devices, and also obtain the configuration, and also we can use to monitor the status of the network devices. And the network device provide a standard application programming interface, API, through which the NMS can manage these devices using NETCONF. So each of the network devices have its own API, and this can be used to monitor from our NMS. So here is the interconnection between one NETCONF server and also client. So in the first part is when the switch set up an SSH connection with the NMS, as you can see here on the first part. And the second part is when they exchange their supported capabilities by sending a hello packet. The third one is when it sends the RPC request from the NMS. So after setting up the NETCONF session with the switch, the NMS will send the RPC request, which is a remote procedure call, to the switch for configuration management. This is where we can use the adding configuration, deleting configuration, or maybe backing up the configuration as well. And after that, the switch processes and handles the received RPC request and send a RPC reply to the NMS back. And after preceding operation are completed, the NMS sends an RPC request to close the NETCONF session. So this will reduce the resource consumption on the switch and also the server itself. While the switch closes the NETCONF session and sends an RPC reply to the NMS back. So basically here is the interconnect on how does the switch, for example, and also the NMS initiate the NetConf connection. So in this table here is the differences between the SNMP and also the NetConf. So the first one is for the configuration protection. For SNMP, it does not support, while for NetConf, it supports because NetConf provides a lock mechanism to prevent multi-user configuration conflict. For configuration backup, SNMP does not support it, but NetConf support. So you can, whenever you configure NetConf to communicate with the NMS, you can use the feature to back up the configuration. For the configuration query, SNMP support configuration query. NetConf also support the configuration query. In terms of scalability, SNMP is poor, but NetConf is good because it has a multi-layer model, and also it is in the XML encoding format. And the last part is in terms of security, where among the version of SNMP, as I mentioned just now, only SNMP v3 provides a secure connection, which they have the authentication and also the encryption. Also, NetConf using some security protocols such as SSH to initiate the connection, and also simple object access protocol to ensure the network security. So the next protocol, or the next application that we can use in our network monitoring and management is Netstream. So Netstream is a Huawei application that collects and analyzes services traffic based on network flows. So Netstream is a statistic collection technology based on network traffic. So it collects and classifies the statistic on the communication traffic and also resource usage over the network. So it will provide the service and resource specific for the monitoring and management functions. So the purpose of using Netstream will collect the statistic on network traffic and periodically sends the statistic to the collector, Netstream collector. And the statistic can be used for charging, network management, and also guiding the network planning. So in Netstream, it consists of 3 devices. We have the data exporter, we have the collector, and also we have the data analyzer, NDE, NSE, and also NDA. So basically in this figure below here, it shows NDE, NSE, and also NDA. So the NDE will collect the statistic over the passing traffic. So whatever traffic that passes through this firewall or any other devices, it will collect the statistic, and also it will send the detailed statistic to the NSE for filtering and also the merging. Then the collector, the NSE, will send the filtered and merged statistic to the NDA, to the data analyzer for further merging and generation of intuitive graph and also reports. So the generated graph and report will provide a reference basically for network planning or maybe network monitoring, some application analysis, or maybe some fault location in the network. So the communication between the different types of services is implemented through a group of IP packets, which is sent from one terminal to another. So in this IP packet, it will form the data flow of the network services, which Netstream will use to provide the analysis on also based on the statistic collected. So most data flows are temporary, intermittent, and also bidirectional. So Netstream mainly identify the different flows and collect flow-specific statistic based on the IP address, the destination IP address, the source IP address, and also based on port, destination and source port, the protocol, the TOS, type of service, and also the input and also the output interface. We have other methods also to monitor the network traffic. There are few methods in this table here, such as based on IP packet, where it saves the counter indexes in the routing table to count the number of bytes and also the packet that passes through the device. However, this method only will collect the basic statistical information. We can also use ACL to monitor the network traffic. So we can match the flow based on the ACL and then collect the statistic. However, if we have a very large network, then we will need to configure quite a large number of ACL, and also it's only able to collect flow statistic that match the ACL rules. The third one, we can also use SNMP. So we use SNMP to implement some simple statistic function such as interface statistic, IP packet statistic, and also ACL matching statistic. However, there are some limitations. For example, because we need to pull the information from the NMS to the device. So this will consume some CPU and also network resources. And also it is not robust enough because it will not include detailed explanation or detailed statistic regarding the traffic collected. We can also use port mirroring. So it will duplicate the traffic passing through a port and send the duplicated traffic to a dedicated server for the statistics and also analysis. However, this one requires a dedicated server, a separate server, and also it occupies an interface which we need to configure on the device for the port mirroring. And also it requires the interface support port mirroring. And the last part is based on duplication, traffic duplication at the physical layer. We can use an optical splitter or other device at the physical layer and then send the duplicated traffic to a dedicated server for the statistic collection. However, the limitation is that we need a dedicated server and we need additional hardware. So these are some of other methods we use, but there are some limitation based on this method. So what is the benefits of Netstream? As I mentioned just now, we can use for accounting. So Netstream will provide a detailed data for accounting based on the resource usage, based on the link usage, bandwidth, and also time segment. So the data also include, but it's not limited to the number of packet, number of bytes of the IP addresses, time, and also types of service, and also the application type. So enterprises can calculate the expenses of each department and distribute the operation costs accordingly to use the resource effectively. We can also use Netstream for network monitoring. So it will monitor all the outgoing traffic in real time and also provide the analysis on the bandwidth usage of the services. And the last one is user monitoring and analysis. So when we use Netstream, it will obtain the network resource usage of the user. So we can know which user are using the most resource in our network. So our network administrator can efficiently plan and allocate the network resources and ensure the network security. So before I move to the other part, for the next part, is there any question from the participants?
I see there are some questions in the chat box, if you can take a look. There are not many, and
Okay.
let's see.
Let me see.
I think the first question was Netstream, is it a Huawei I'm not sure what.
Proprietary.
Proprietary
Yes,
protocol.
basically, yes, Netstream is supported on Huawei platform only. It is a Huawei application. What is the latest version of software that runs on the network management? So for the network management station, we have eSight, for example, and the latest version is V3R10. And also we have other network management station as well, such as NCE, which is a new NMS from Huawei. So we have quite number of NMS on Huawei. NMS Huawei will work SNMP from Cisco Extreme switches. Yes. So there's one question asking whether NMS Huawei will work with other vendors. The answer is yes. So basically, we also support other vendors' devices such as Cisco, H3C, and so on. So for example, I will show you how you can check on our support website. So for example, if you want to see whether eSight or NCE supports other vendors or not, we can go to our Huawei support website. So for example, you click on eSight. Wait, let me share my screen. Okay, so here is the information that you can get. Wait, let me. So here it will mention the supported device on Huawei and also the supported device of the third-party vendors. So you can check whether eSight support the mentioned model of Cisco or Extreme switches or not. And wait, let me see again. Any other question? So one of the question from Ali Farhani Sani, is it possible to monitor other brand? Yes, as I mentioned just now. Is it possible your NMS to manage non-SNMP devices such as SCADA? So basically, eSight runs based on SNMP. So if the device does not support SNMP, it cannot be used to monitor. Is it support NBI? Yes, it can support NBI. Whether it can be integrated with Google Earth. For this one, eSight cannot be integrated with Google Earth. Are all IP MPLS routers and services provisioned using NETCONF? Yes. So for this one, we will migrate the system from U2000 to NCE IP. For monitoring alarm from IP device by NCE IP still using SNMP protocol. So for this question from Jack Vo, for monitoring alarm from IP device by NCE IP, still using SNMP protocol, yes. So basically for NetConf, just now I mentioned that if you want to add some configuration or you want to edit configuration, you want to do some backup configuration, that is the use of NetConf. SNMP does not support those features. And the last one is it possible to configure the network and its services through netconfig without CLI? Can IP MPLS VPN be created, updated via API customer? Yes, Jahangir, the answer is yes. You can use the API. NetConf have more advanced application. Yes, correct, Danish. You are correct. So now we will move on to the next part of the webinar, which is the interconnection of Huawei devices and a third-party NMS. So in this part, I'm using SNMP v2 as an example configuration. And also the device that I will be used is our switch S5720 with a version of V200R11. And also the third-party NMS that I will be using is the MGSoft Mid browser. So for the configuration of SNMP, first of all, the important ones or the mandatory one is the version V2C. So you can use this command SNMP agent sysinfo version. After that, you need to specify the mid view. And after that, you need to configure the community read and write. And the second last one is the target host or thread. for where the threat will be sent to the NMS. And the last one for the SNMP agent trap enable. So for this command, some of the trap by default is being disabled on our Huawei switch. So if it's disabled, you can just run this command to enable all the SNMP agent trap, or you can also specify the specific trap that you want to enable. So once you have already configured the SNMP, you can verify the configuration using some of these commands. For example, display SNMP agent USM user. You can check the user that you have already configured, and also the USM group that the user is bind to. And also you can check the SNMP agency's info, SNMP agent meet view, and also you can use this command display current configuration to check on the SNMP configuration that you have already configured. And display SNMP agent trap all to see whether the trap is disabled or off on the switch. So if it's off and you need to use that trap, you can run the command SNMP agent trap, like I mentioned just now. The next one is SNMP agent target host, SNMP agent inform, and also SNMP agent extend error code status. So here are some of the command that you use to verify the configuration of your SNMP. And here I will share actually two cases for the SNMP host cannot connect to the NMS for the first one. So basically, there are quite a few reasons on why the SNMP host cannot connect to the NMS. So this log you can see on the Huawei device. So for example, the first reason is you can see here the version was incorrect. So this means that the SNMP versions on the device and NMS are inconsistent. So you can run the display agency's info command to check the SNMP version, whether it is the same or not. If it's not the same, you can modify it by using the command SNMP agency's info, and after that you can specify the version. The next reason is the packet was too large. So the size of the SNMP packet sent by the NMS exceed the threshold set on the device. So by default, the SNMP packet is not more than 12,000 bytes. So if the NMS sends an oversized packet or more than 12,000 bytes, the device cannot connect to the NMS. So you need to modify the packet size by using this command, SNMP agent packet, and after that you can specify the size of the packet. The third reason is because the message was failed to be added to the message list. So the rate of the SNMP request packet sent by the NMS exceeds the processing capability of the device. So some suggestion that you can do is to lower the frequency on the NMS side whenever they are sending the SNMP request packet. The fourth reason is the community was incorrect. So the community names on the NMS are different. So you can reconfigure the MP community read and write, and you also need to make sure that the one that you configure on the device and the one that you key in the NMS is the same. So basically this reason applies on SNMP V1 and V2C. And the fifth one is the decoded PDU error. So this one mainly applies on SNMP V3. So SNMP V3, there are some possible causes such as SNMP V3 username configured on the device and NMS are different. The SNMP engine ID configured on the device and NMS are not consistent. And also maybe the authentication or encryption user on the NMS is incorrect. So you can use some command to check. For example, display SNMP agent USM user to check on the username. If it's not the same, you can modify it. And also you can check on the username group that you have already configured. Also, you can use the command display current configuration include SNMP, and then you can see the SNMP configuration on the device, and you can check whether the engine ID is the same or not. If not the same, you can reconfigure the SNMP agent local engine ID, and you can enter or key in the engine ID. And the last part is for the authentication and also the encryption. So if it's not the same, or if you are getting this error, you can try to reconfigure the authentication and also the privacy mode. The last one, sorry, the second last one is the SEL filter function. So for example, if you configure any SEL, you need to make sure that the SEL has already permit the NMS to send the SNMP request packet. So if it's denied, you need to check back on your SEL. You can just use the command display SEL and you can check the rule whether it is correct or wrong. And the last part is the context name was incorrect. So this one, it means that the NMS context name is incorrect and you need to change the context name on the NMS itself. And the second case is when NMS fail to receive threat. So whenever you have already connect your device to the NMS, but NMS fail to receive the threat, you can check on the configuration, for example, the SNMP version, whether to see the SNMP information is correct or wrong. You can see the system maintenance information, physical location, and also the version itself. And you can check the version of trap to be sent. You can use this command, display SNMP agent target host, and you can see all the information such as the IP address of the target host, if VPN instance name, if you are using any VPN instance, trap sending mode, secure character for sending trap, protocol version, and also the security level. And the last part is you can also use the display current configuration command like just now, include SNMP, to check the source interface for sending the thread configured on the switch or not. However, by default, the source interface for sending the thread is not specified. Okay, for this part, I will show some demonstration on how Huawei device can communicate with a Meet browser. So this is the Meet browser I'm using. And this is our Huawei device.
Before we go to the lab, can you please check the last questions that were posted?
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
A question from Jack. I config SNMP string but always got the error message on IP device log due to I only use read for security policy. So how to avoid this error? So basically you need to configure both the community read and write on the device. It is advisable to configure both. Is NCE mandatory for get advantage of netconfig and Netstream? NCE, I think support Netstream also. Okay, then we will continue with our lab here. Okay, so here is the Huawei switch. As I mentioned just now, is the S5720 with a version of V2 R11. So first, I will configure the, oh, sorry.
Please share the screen.
Yeah. Okay, so here is our Huawei switch, S5720 with a V2 R11 version. And I'm using this Meet browser to show how does our Huawei device interconnect, or can it be connected to a third-party NMS or not. So first of all, on this Meet browser, I've already loaded the Meet file, which is mandatory so that our Huawei device can communicate with this third party. So the Meet file you can download on our Huawei support website. Okay, so first I will configure the SNMP configuration. So the first one is SNMP version. So as I mentioned just now, we have V1, V2C, and also V3. So you can enable one of it or you can enable all also, not a problem. So for this example, just now I used SNMP V2C. So the next command that we need to configure is the meet SNMP agent meet view for the management information base. Include, and this one is just a string name. You can put any name. And also you need to specify the subtree name of the meet object. So I use the ISO, which is the highest subtree in the meet. The next one, I will configure the community read and write. Community read. I will just put it as Huawei at 123. And I need to specify the MIP view, which I've already configured just now with the string of ISO view. Next one is community write. Okay, I'll just use Huawei at 1234 and specify the MIP view, the string ISO view. Okay. So one of the command that you can use to verify the configuration, display current configuration, include SNMP. So as you can see here, here is the SNMP configuration that has been configured. So this local engine is automatically generated. And the next one is we need to configure the target host to send the thread from the device to the MIP browser. Thread, and then the address, TCP domain. So after that, we need to specify the IP address. So this MIP browser I'm installing in my PC itself. So I will need to use the IP address of my PC. Three. And then you need to specify the UDP port. So the default UDP port of sending track is 162. If you are using a different one, you need to specify it. So in this example, I'm using a different port just to show you. So we are using a port 163. So you need to specify it. After that, you need to put the security name. You can just put any name as you want. And the last part is you need to specify the SNMP version. So we are using V2C. Okay, so that's all. So you can double check again. And the one that I mentioned just now for the SNMP thread enabled. So you can check whether by default the thread is enabled or not. Display SNMP agent thread all. So as you can see here, some of the thread by default it is off and some it is on. So if you want to be on the safe side, you can just enable all the thread, or you can specifically enable what kind of thread that you want. SNMP agent thread enable. So if you want to be specific, you can use the feature name, and we have a lot of feature name based on your requirement. So for this one, I will just enable all. Okay. Okay, so most of the configuration has already been done. So we will go to MIP browser. And we configure the read and write. Just now I configured as Huawei at 123. And as you can see here, it can communicate or connect with our Huawei device. So you can see here the uptime is around 27 days, 15 hours, and here is around 3 weeks, 6 days. So is the same. So we can test some of the OID or some of the MIP on our MIP browser here. So for example, if you want to get the CPU usage of the Huawei device, you can type in the MIP name. And after that, you can search for the CPU usage, this one. Okay, here is the CPU usage. So you can also verify by using display CPU usage. The value may be a bit differ. You can also test on the other information also, such as display temperature. You can also get this information. Okay, the current temperature. Actually, there are many other information you can use. So you just need to make sure that you load the MIP file whenever you are using a third-party NMS. And the next part, I will show how Huawei device can generate trap, and also it will send the trap to this MIP browser. So first I set this trap ringer information, which I already set earlier on. So I will just generate one simple trap. For example, if a link is down. So this link is currently up. So I will try to shut down this link and see whether the MIP browser able to receive the trap or not. So as you can see here, MIP browser able to receive this trap. Link down, G003. You can also verify on our Huawei device as well. As you can see here, this one. The interface is down. So this is the thread that is being sent to this MIP browser. So this is one of the thread that you can generate. Actually, there are many other threads. So I'll just show you this one thread on how our Huawei device can communicate with a third-party NMS. So just for the conclusion, you need to make sure that the read and write community is the same, and also the version, whether it's correct or wrong, and need to make sure that the target host is being configured correctly, especially on the UDP port part. Also pay attention to the SNMP agent thread, whether it is default disabled or whether it is enabled by default. Okay, before we move, any question? No. Question.
Yes, there were some questions.
Okay.
Let me see.
Which command to check not NetConf support or not on Huawei router? Which authenticator by SNMP support 25? Which command to check NetConf support or not on Huawei router? This one need to check on the Huawei product documentation whether it's support NetConfig or not. Which authentication protocol SNMP password encrypted MD5 or SHA? Which authentication protocol? Basically, it used the SNMP v3 for the MD5 or also SHA. So SNMP is the protocol which has the security features which support the MD5 and also SHA. What is the function of MGSoft MIP browser? So MGSoft MIP browser is like a third-party NMS where you can get alarm like this one from the device, and also you can query some information of the device, provided you already load the information of the MIP. And in which command to check NetConf this one done. Okay, so I think that's all. So we move on to the next part. So this is the last part for our webinar for our Huawei NMS eSight. So I will introduce some features and also functions of eSight. And later on, I will log into eSight to show you how does eSight works, and maybe you can have a clearer picture on how does eSight looks like. So basically, eSight is a platform which have this basic management function, such as topology management, alarm management, performance management, resource, and also device software management. It also have the WLAN management and also the agile report function. So eSight can be integrated with OSS or any third-party NMS via NBI. And also you can use eSight for network operation and maintenance, which you can access it via Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome.
Can you please share your screen again?
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll start again. So basically, eSight is our NMS, which have this basic function and also some service management functions. And for the basic management functions, we have the topology management, alarm management, performance management, resource management, and also device management, device software management. As well as we have the WLAN management and also the agile report for the service management function. So eSight can be integrated with a third-party NMS via NBI, and also it can be used for network operation and maintenance personnel. So you can access eSight using a browser through Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome. So how does the network devices communicate with eSight? So basically it is based on SNMP. It will communicate using SNMP protocol, Telnet, Telnet, FTP, and also SFTP. So first of all, you need to add the device in eSight. So it is under the device edition. And the discovery protocol, we have SNMP and also ICMP. So you can add the device in a single way. So you just need to specify the IP address. And also you can choose the template if you have already have the template configured, or you can also edit the SNMP parameters manually, and also the telnet, which is optional. And eSight also support automatic discovery. So you can add multiple network segments, or you can put the range of the IP address, start IP address, and also the end IP address that you want to add the device. And for example, if you have any new device that you have add in the network, and you want it to be discovered by the NMS, eSight can do it by this automatic discovery. So you can schedule it by hour, day, week, or maybe month. So you can set the task setting here, as per mentioned just now, by hour, day, week, or month. And also you can do it on a one-off setting. After that, you need to specify the SNMP settings based on the template that you configured. And after that, it will discover automatically. And the last method that you can use to add the devices in eSight is using the Excel form, and it will add the device in batches. So in the Excel form, you just need to download it from our eSight. And after that, you can specify the IP address, the protocol, and also the version. So after you specify the protocol version, you can put in the community read and write. So if it's V3, then you need to specify the authentication and also the encryption mode. So I will just log into eSight first. to show you the information. So basically here is the eSight login page. And here is the eSight home page. So we have some overview on how you can use this eSight. For example, you need to import license, some initialize system settings, add device. You can also put it as a group settings and also monitoring settings. So I will just show you how we can add some devices in this eSight. So you just go to add resource. So add resource, this one is the one that I mentioned just now if you want to add the device, single device. So I have one device I've already configured. So this device I used SNMP v3. So I already configured the version, the target host, and also the MIP view, and also the user, as well as I bind it to the group as per above here. And after that, the authentication mode, and also with the privacy mode. So I will just show you. We add this one device. So the IP is 21. And if you have any template here, you can use it. Otherwise, you can also edit your own SNMP parameters. So the security name just now, user is Huawei. And the authentication password, I configured the same, Huawei at 123. And the encryption is Huawei at 1234. And the telnet, which is optional, you can edit the telnet parameters, or you can also select the template if you have the template. So if you want to create a template, you can go to this protocol template and you can create your own template here. So I will just put in the telnet. And just click on apply. So the resource have been successfully added to eSight. So if you want to use the automatic discovery, like I mentioned just now, you can use this feature. If you want to add the device automatically, you can specify the start IP and also the end IP address. You can add a multiple network segment as well. After that, you can choose the task settings, like I mentioned just now, which is hourly, daily, weekly, or maybe monthly. So I will just use this one-off task settings. And the SNMP settings, which I've already configured the SNMP template. So we can just discover. So after that, eSight will automatically discover all the devices which we have already configured. So you just need to make sure that all this device is already configured, and you can use this automatic discovery. So this one is the task. And this one is the one that I mentioned if you are using the Excel template. So you can just download the Excel template. And after that, you can fill in all the information. As you can see here, there are some information which is mandatory that you need to fill in. Okay, so once you have filled in all this information, you can upload it here, and after that, you can proceed in adding the device. So once the device have been added into eSight, you can view the device. So here are the devices that we have already successfully added just now. Okay, the next part is the monitoring device status in the NE Explorer. So once you have already added the device, you can monitor the device. So there are many things, there are many things that you can monitor on the device, such as the basic information, which includes the version, the device version, the device type or IP address, or maybe some MAC address. And you can also monitor the KPI of the device. So in this KPI here, you can monitor the CPU usage, memory usage, and you can also monitor a few other things as well, which you can configure according to your requirement. And you can also monitor the interface. And also, since this is a WLAN controller, so you can also monitor the AP, which is connected to the WLAN controller. So once we have already added the device, so for example, we can go to one of the device. For example, this is our engine, which is a WLAN controller. So on the left part here, you can see you can get all the basic information, the device panel, which is the picture. You can see the alarm list generated by this device. And also you can use some device config features as well. And this one is for the Telnet, also SNMP, to add the device to communicate with the NMS. And you have the device VLAN, you have the WLAN features, which you can monitor AP, client, and so on. So below here, you have the NE average CPU usage. So because we just add the device, so it will take quite some time to reflect here. You can see the responding duration. And for the interface part also, you can see below here, what is the interface status, whether it is normal or faulty. You can also monitor the bandwidth usage of the interface and also the rate, which is the receiving and also transmitting rate. As well as you have AP, which is connected to the AC, you can also monitor here. The next part is the topology management, where one of the eSight function also, where you can see your own topology in the page. So these topology objects you can organize based on their network characteristic. For example, if this is the core layer, you can put it core layer. We have the aggregation or maybe the distribution layer, and below here we have the access layer switch. So in this topology management page, you can display the alarm severities, and you can also display the collector performance data on the device. And it will, for example, if there's a link down, one of the link from green will turn into red. And also if for example, the bandwidth usage exceeds the threshold, it will also turn the color from green to red. Apart from that, also from this topology management page, you can do the shortcut access to the network management. You can just double click on the device. After that, it will redirect you to the device management page as I showed you earlier. You can also use your own layout, and there are some filtering you can also apply as well. And also you can specify the device icon as per your network requirement. And also if you want to hide some of the device or unhide, you can also use this topology management. The next part is big screen monitoring. So this big screen monitoring features applies in, for example, if you are in the NOC environment, or if you are in the operation and maintenance center, which you need to display eSight in a bigger screen or a larger screen. So you can use this big screen monitoring. So it supports high resolution to facilitate the centralized monitoring demonstration, or maybe you want to do some presentation as well. So in this big screen monitor, you can choose what is the information that you want to display. For example, the topology, or maybe you want to show the alarm generated in eSight. You can also show the bandwidth usage as well, and there are many other things that you can display in this big screen monitoring. So eSight also supports alarm management, which you can receive alarm from the device, which have a few severities such as critical, major, minor, and also warning. And also you can acknowledge or unacknowledge the alarm. And also there are some clearance status for the alarm. So for example, if there is one alarm that has been generated, you need to acknowledge, and also you need to clear. However, some alarm that is acknowledged, it will be automatically cleared. So this one you need to pay more attention. And also you can see the first occurrence time, for example, for the past 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, or maybe 30 days. You can also filter, just a moment. And also you can filter based on the alarm type, alarm source type, alarm source, and also name of the device as well. So in this page, in this eSight alarm page, you can query up to 20,000 alarm in one page. So I will just show you the alarm page, because just now we just add the device. Maybe there are no alarm generated yet. So you can go under the default menu, or you can just click it on the icon here. So as you can see here, here are some of the type of the alarm. So you can acknowledge, clear, you can select all, acknowledge or clear, and also you can export the alarm as well. So for the alarm, we have the historical alarms. So there are some historical alarms here, which you can also use for the network monitoring. You can also filter it based on your requirement. Alarm source type. So you can, based on the device that you want to see the alarm, also can. You can select it. Alarm source also, you can group it by NE type if you have any group. And also we have mask alarm. For example, if you mask any alarm, and it will appear on this page. So we move on to the next one first. So eSight also support real-time alarm notification, which it will notify the admin of the eSight or the user of the eSight. So for example, if there is any alarm, it will trigger the sound. And also if you want it to send to your email or also SMS, you can also configure it on eSight. So once the alarm is generated, you can go quickly to the topology or the device panel by clicking to one of the icon here. And after that, you can also see what is the procedure or what is the troubleshooting steps that you can do to clear or maybe to acknowledge this alarm. I think in this page, it will show. Let me see. So for example, if like this one, so it will show more information of the alarm. So you can click on view details, and it will redirect you to the page where how you can further troubleshoot this alarm. And the next part is performance management. So eSight also supports performance management, where you can monitor the performance of your devices, which include CPU usage, memory usage, response duration. Actually, there is many filters that you can use. Later on, I will show you. And you can also base on the network device, and also you can base on the slot of the device and also the interface of the device. So you can set your own task, and also you can set what is the filter that you want to apply for this particular task. So you can go to performance, and after that you can go to the performance data. So as you can see here just now, we just added the device, so some of the information is not reflected yet. So this is the task name, the default collection task, and also you can add more information if you want to display. For example, you want to see the current power, or maybe the receiving rate, the forwarding rate. There are many other filters that you can apply. Okay. So basically, it will take quite sometimes, I think, depending on the task that you set. So basically, just now it's using the default collection task for network devices. So the period is every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, it will collect the information from the device, and it will be reflected in the page that I showed just now. So you can also create your own task. So for example, this one, if you want to put testing, you can also select the present template. So for example, this one. And you can also add the performance counter based on your requirement. So we have a lot more. We can add all if you want to. So it will add all the information here. So you can also select resource on which device or on which group that you want to apply this task. So you can select all if you want to. So you just need to go to the performance data. And after that, it will be reflected here. As you can see here, we already changed the task name. So every 15 minutes, it will collect and it will be reflected here. And also eSight supports configuration file management, where you can create a backup task to backup your configuration. And you can also use these features to download the configuration file. And you can view the configuration file in eSight itself as well. So the protocol used is FTP. As I mentioned just now, eSight support SNMP, Telnet, STelnet, FTP, and also SFTP. So you can download the configuration file on this page. So I can just show you roughly. You can go to resource, network. So it's under the configuration file management. So you can see here you have the backup task, you have the config files, and also you have the config changes. So here are some of the prerequisite that you need to configure in order to use this feature. So you can set the backup task, the config file here. So later it will reflect the startup config file and also the running config file. And also if there is any config change in the device, it will also be shown here. So eSight also support device software management where you can upgrade your device via eSight. So for example, if you have 100 device or 100 switches or routers that you want to upgrade, you can do it via eSight. So you can just load the firmware, and you can also specify the specific time that you want to upgrade the device, and eSight will carry out the upgrade process by itself. So you can manage the version, patch, and also license file through eSight also. And eSight also supports WLAN management, unified management of the wired network, wireless, and also the user. So the integration of wired and wireless network. So you can get all the information based on the user that is connected via wired or wireless. And you can also have the user management. You can have the traffic and report information based on the AP or maybe based on the SSID as well. And for this wireless network management, you can see the visual of the radio, terminal, and interface sources. And also it has the one-click features where you can use to diagnose the fault from the terminal to the network side. So this is the example for the WLAN management region monitor. So you can custom your own topology, and also you can put your own dashboard, which information that you want to put, for example, AP trend, traffic trend, or wireless resource statistic, and so on. And below here also you can see the user signal strength, how many online users that is connected in that particular region. You can also check on the channel usage, on the channel 5G usage as well, and also the CPU usage. So basically there are many information that you can include in this topology. And apart from that, you can also upload your own floor map in eSight, and you can specify the AP where it is located to ease the process of monitoring the WLAN network. So you can also view and also apply this number of access user, CPU usage, and then after that it will be displayed in this topology. And also have the dashboard display running status, where you can see the overall information of your WLAN network. Or maybe you want to see by the access controller itself. You can also see AP, client, SSID, or maybe region as well. So you can choose based on your requirement. And the information collected from the physical devices uses WIDS and topology is displayed clearly in this page. So basically it is easy to understand based on this chart or maybe graph. And also it can help to locate the fault in the network. So this is the example if you want to diagnose the fault in WLAN network. You can also use this feature. So once you've diagnosed, it will show you what is the fault cause and also what is the fault suggestion. So you can also see whether the radio is normal or not, the AP is normal or not, and also if the AC is running normally or not, and so on. We have few other parameters as well. And the last part is for the Agile Reporter. So for this part, Agile Reporter is features which provide report display, dashboard monitoring, periodic report, and also email notification function. So you can view all the reports and also based on the dashboard, and you can also make a periodic reporting to be sent to your email as well. So here is the Agile Reported page. So you can quickly generate report based on the information that you want. Later I will show you. So you can also filter and also add some filter. And also you can display the information based on graph bar or maybe some pie chart as you want. Also it support real-time monitoring and also associated display based on the intelligent identification. So I will show you this Agile report in eSight. It's a bit slow to load this page. Maybe I can answer some questions.
Yes, there are many questions, but
Yeah.
starting from way back.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm not sure which one was the
Okay,
first.
maybe I'll finish this the page
I
that's
think
already
that
finished.
the first one that was at let me see, was the difference between Telnet
Oh, Ethernet. Oh,
and
what is the
NetConf.
difference between Ethernet and NetConf? So Ethernet basically is the connection used to establish NetConf. NetConf is a protocol used for the monitoring. NetCon and Ethernet is just a connection used to establish between the NMS and also the device. Has eSight same functionality of U2000 and NCE? Yes, basically eSight is more or less the same with U2000 and NCE. Just that U2000, sorry, NCE is a new NMS introduced by eSight, by Huawei. Can we install eSight as lab? Yes, we can. But usually it depends on your network requirement. If you want to install eSight can run 90 days without license after you need to purchase your own license. eSight proprietary to Huawei or this one I've already answered just now. eSight can communicate with other vendors' devices as well, such as Cisco and so on. What additional benefit eSight could bring in our network? Is it possible to modify add delete column eSight Excel template? Yes, you can modify the Excel template. I will show you for the report. One of the question from my colleague, Huawei colleague, for the topology, you need to create by yourself or when the SNMP discover. This one, it will discover based on the LLDP, link layer discovery protocol. So once it discover, after that, it will generate an auto topology. And also you can edit the topology based on your network. Does eSight show real-time interface? Does eSight show real-time interface utilization? Yes, it shows. But if you shorten the polling time of eSight, it will reduce the performance of the eSight. So it is advisable to use the default value for the polling system. From the eSight, is it possible to see current power consumption of the device? Yes, this one you can use. Just now I already show you. You can change the collection data task. Any other question? Oh, this one question regarding HCIE. Ethernet is same as SSH? Yes, correct. Will you share the presentation? Yes, later I think Elena will share the presentation with everyone. So this one is the last part, the Agile report page, where you can generate the report. So as you can see here, you have many information or many report that you can generate. For example, WLAN report based on QoS, or if you have any storage device, you can also generate the report. So for example, if you want to generate one report for the device type report, or if you want to see the availability of the device on a daily basis, and you want it to be sent to your email, you can use this feature. I will just show you, okay. So just now we have already add a few devices in eSight. So how you can edit the filter, just right click and then click on edit. And here there are many filters that you can choose. Admin up status port, port use rate, and so on. So for example, if you want to add this one, NE type, oh, it's already been used, or maybe NE state, whether it is online or offline, you can add it. And after that, it will be shown here on a new column. So if you want to export, you can click up here, export as PDF, Excel, and so on. So if you want to change the format from the table to other, oh, we show, wait, column. Okay, I cannot click OK below here, but you can change the chart based on your preference. And apart from that, also there are many other information. For example, interface traffic performance. So this information which report in this Agile reporter is based on the performance data that you have created earlier. As you can see here, it provides all the information. For example, this one is the description of the interface. So you have the average outbound usage and so on. So you can add the filter. So once you have add the filter, but if there is no data shown in this table or in this chart report, you need to make sure that on the monitoring settings that you have include the tasks. So you can see there are many other information that you can include here. Okay, so basically that's all for my presentation today. So the next part I think is on Elena.
Yes. Before that, I think there's one more question.
Oh, there's more question. Okay.
I think this one What is the best scenario to have eSight deployed? Can it be deployed along NCE?
Can it deploy along NCE Agile Controller WLAN? Yes, but for NCE and eSight more or less is the same. It's an NMS, and Agile Controller is not an NMS. So basically, it is authentication more like Radius or maybe TechX. WLAN controller, yes, it can be deployed with eSight as well. Not a problem. Okay, so Elena?
Yes. Okay, so about the presentation, I already received some email addresses in private. You can either send me your email address in private and I will share the presentation with you a bit later, or you can go to the Huawei Enterprise Support Community where we upload the recording after each live session. I just want to make a quick introduction for those of you who are not familiar with the community yet. Some of you I know that are already familiar with it. This is a big technical community for all Huawei enterprise products and certification, where you can go to learn, but also to share knowledge. We already have over 187,000 members, which includes engineers, experts, customers, partners, students, and so on. We have an extensive knowledge base with over 48,000 posts that you can learn from. Our average solving time is under 24 hours at the moment. And if you join the community, you can also join some of the programs we have for the most active members. For example, the MVE program, which stands for Most Valuable Engineer. And also you can join our monthly activities and webinars. We have rewards for each of them, usually Amazon.com gift cards or high coins that you can use in exchange for the products we have in the online mall. As you can see in this image, we have Huawei certification vouchers in the online mall. We have Amazon.com gift cards, but also physical gifts like smartwatches, smartphones, and so on. So I highly recommend you to join the community if you are not already a member, and start collecting high coins. And I hope that you will enjoy the technical content that you find there. But I also want to invite you to share content, because basically we want you to help each other out and share quality content, because you are all professionals, and I think that there's a lot to be. Okay, I see that we have a new user. I want to invite you to join. Okay, I will share the link now in the chat box. The link to our website. This is the forum website. Please register, and if you already have an account, you just have to log in and answer the 3 questions that will follow a bit later. Okay, we can move to the next slide. Okay, we have prepared the webinar post, and in order to win one of the 10 $20 Amazon.com gift cards which we have prepared, you need to either register if you are new here, or log in if you are already a member of the community. And then you have to leave your comment under this post, and in your comment, please say the correct answer or answers for each of the 3 questions. So please, for example, mention 1 and then leave the letters that correspond to the correct answer. I will also send again the link to the webinar post in case you have missed it before. And after that, I will invite our host to present you the 3 questions that you need to answer in order to be eligible for the rewards. Okay. Now I share the link to the webinar post. So in order to win one of the gift cards, you need to go here and leave your comment under this post. Okay, I'm glad that there are new people here. Okay, if you are new, register on the website, and then you can go to this link that I just shared. I will share it again for the new ones, and you can answer your questions. And if you answer all 3 questions correctly, you can win one of the gift cards. If you have any questions for us, you can always leave them in the community. There's always someone who will reply, either an admin or a moderator or an engineer or one of our MVEs. So if you are new, you will see that there's a lot to learn in the community, and also a lot of activities and webinars that will follow. Okay, I will collect your email addresses and send you the presentation after. I will now let you present the 3 questions.
Okay, all right. So the first question is, what are the common network monitoring and management protocols used? So is it OSPF, SNMP, NETCONF, or LLDP? So it is a multiple choice question. And the next question is, what is the packet type sent from the NMS to the agent or host when it is initiating the connection? So it is a single choice answer, whether it is a set request, hello packet, get request, or TCP packet. It's a single choice answer. And the last question is, what are the types of encryption modes supported in SNMP v3? Multiple choice. Is it AES 128, MD5, 3DES, or maybe SHA? So that's all for the questions.